Welcome to Paul's Passive House. Now, let's discuss convenience. I currently live in an urban residential neighborhood less than 10 miles from downtown Denver. According to Google Maps, I'm 15 minutes by car, 51 minutes by train, 53 minutes by bike, 3 hours by foot, and something like 5 hours by bus. And that's on a snowy Saturday. Those times are minimums. They just go up from there. For instance, if I want to attend an Avalanche game that conveniently starts during our rush hour, it takes me at least 30 minutes to drive the 10 miles. I can't take the light rail because it has terrible service, and I don't feel like getting stranded downtown late at night in the middle of winter. There are no buses that run from my neighborhood to the arena or anywhere close to it, and walking or biking isn't an option because of the terrible infrastructure. So where exactly is the convenience? Despite this lack of transportation infrastructure and the absence of mixed-use building stock, my neighborhood is very popular and sought after by people that want all the convenience of urban living without being located downtown. But if you step outside my front door, there's nothing out there for you. There are no coffee shops or movie theaters, hardware stores, grocery stores, or anything within walking or biking distance. In other words, there are no multi-use buildings in my neighborhood at all. Not to mention that there is no walking or biking infrastructure. The sidewalks in my neighborhood are barely 2 feet wide, and there isn't any biking infrastructure. Sure, there is a trail, but it's not functional infrastructure. It's a scenic path. It doesn't go anywhere, it just winds around the city aimlessly. Add to that the fact that there are no buses in my neighborhood and that the light rail is basically unusable, and you can probably see where this is going. If I want to do anything, my only option is to drive, which is what I do every time I leave the house. Even driving to the commercial and retail district in my area of town is nearly a mile. And I live right next to a light rail station, a place that surely should have, at the very least, a bar or a bank or something useful. But no, there's nothing there. Nothing but senior living and parking. This lack of useful infrastructure and multi-use buildings is terribly inconvenient for me and everyone that lives in this neighborhood. I have a neighbor who gets up every morning into her car and drives to Starbucks. Never mind for a moment how moronic it is that she is a woman of the millennium and has yet to figure out how to make a good cup of coffee for herself at home. But that drive is 2 miles round trip, which she does every morning in her SUV, which is, of course, fully equipped with aggressive all-terrain tires that she has never and will never use. If this neighborhood had any mixed-use building stock, there would likely be a coffee shop within walking distance, thus saving time and money and lowering pollution and increasing her cardiovascular health, which she needs. However, if anyone went to a city council meeting to propose such changes, everyone would scream, "Not in my backyard," and just opt to drive their SUVs to Starbucks every morning instead. You know, like assholes. However, most of the people I know gush over how much they wish they lived in a neighborhood like mine. Clearly, the people that think this neighborhood is convenient are only thinking in terms of driving. And this brings me to one of my points. Convenience equals options. It isn't convenient to drive everywhere all the time. It's convenient to have multiple, fast, cheap, and efficient options for transportation. It's convenient to have mixed-use building stock located near where I live so that I can easily access their amenities. There should be at least 3 easy, reliable, and affordable travel options for everyone located everywhere throughout the entire city. And each neighborhood should have a nice mix of mixed-use building stock to choose from. That would be convenient. But this is not a reality in any North American city, except for maybe New York. Now, if you're thinking, well, what does transportation have to do with passive house or building stock? And I get it, that's a little bit far afield. I'm a little off topic there. However, if you consider that building stock is infrastructure, and transportation is also infrastructure that we use to access our building stock infrastructure, the relationships start to come into focus. Now, compare this to every place I visited in Europe. Every neighborhood was mixed use. Every house, every apartment, everything was within walking distance to local businesses, groceries, fast food, coffee, booze, movie theaters, hardware stores, clothing. Literally, almost anything you need on a daily basis was right there outside your front door. And there were still plenty of single-family homes. You see, part of mixed-use city design is including single-family housing units. It's a huge misconception that if you move to Europe, you will never see a single-family detached home ever again. While it is true that detached single-family homes and detached buildings in general are less common in the larger cities, medium and small cities have plenty of them. Plus, in the suburbs of large European cities, single-family homes are the norm. I put suburbs in quotes there because there are not real suburbs by North American standards. European suburbs are built for convenience, just like their cities. So they have great transit, lots of mixed-use buildings, and function more like small cities than what a North American thinks of when they think of suburbs. European cities are so well designed that they even have rural areas nearby. In Europe, you can live on a farm and still be well connected to a nearby city. Now that's convenient. So let's wrap this up. Based on what we've learned, it's time to come to some conclusions. The first is that we have a long way to go here in North America if we're going to enact any meaningful change. Change that we should want for ourselves and for each other. Change that would greatly improve our quality of life. But sadly, most, or more likely all, of this change is never going to come to pass. North Americans are just too stupid to allow for improvements. They'd rather stubbornly reiterate falsehoods and perpetuate ignorant and moronic lies that go against their best interests. For some reason, North America just can't seem to progress. It hurts me a little to say that out loud, but that's our reality. In spite of all that, though, you can stand out in your community as someone who does care. Someone who actually makes the changes needed. Not just someone who says they care, but enacts real change that benefits others as well as yourself. That's why I started this Passive House project and why I published it online, to help give you ideas on where to start, how to incorporate good building science into your living environment, and so on, so that you too can have a better life. This episode wraps up season 1 of Paul's Passive House. I hope you have enjoyed watching me suffer through this process. Please be on the lookout for my other content that I'll be publishing on this channel, as well as season 2 of Paul's Passive House, which is currently in production. Thank you for watching, and thank you for all of your support.